On this edition of Car Idiots Forever, we'll show you a real hearse and an armored police car envied by mobsters and gangsters in the 1930s. You'll hear how a simple date at an auto show launched a relationship and a new lifestyle in cars that one woman never imagined. And Dr. Oedipus Redline, a benevolent, eccentric car idiot psych auto analyst, makes his grand debut in front of the cameras. And now, here's the chief car idiot himself, Bernie Golias.
Hello and welcome to the madness known as Car Idiots Forever. I'm Bernie Golias, chief car idiot, and this is my garage, where I work on restoring my automobiles. I know there's a lot of you out there who are just like me. You love cars, you live, think, and breathe cars. You love stories about cars. You can't get enough about cars. In other words, you're one of my group, Car Idiots Forever. Around here, being labeled a car idiot is considered a badge of honor. It means that you have exquisite taste and live and breathe for not only cars, but for all types of vehicles. This show is for you and the people that love you anyway. Car Idiots Forever is on a mission to celebrate the obsessive behaviors related to the car hobby and the push and pull this fixation has on relationships. You'll see things and hear stories you won't get on other car shows, so let's get started.
Car Idiots Forever went on the road and traveled to Canton, Ohio to visit a place with much more than just vintage cars on display. In fact, they call themselves Ohio's Great Nostalgia Museum.
We're at the Canton Classic Car Museum in Canton, Ohio. What an eclectic collection there is here. I've never seen anything like it. With me is Char Lautzenheiser. She is a director of this fantastic museum. Char, tell us a little bit about it.
Bernie, I'd be happy to tell you about my passion, which is the Canton Classic Car Museum. From the moment you walk in the door, you see more than just a bunch of old cars. We truly are a stroll down memory lane. In fact, you're a car guy. It says
I'm the chief car idiot.
Yes. But for people who aren't car guys, and I say that term very loosely, we have something here for everyone. From the moment you walk in, you'll stroll down memory lane. We had period fashions, antique cars, antique furniture, antiques, and toys. There's something here for everyone. I can truly tell you that.
How many cars do you have here?
We have about 45.
Well, why don't we take a tour? Give us a cruise.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Oh, this is my absolute favorite domestic car. She's a 1937 supercharged 812 Cord, built by a man named E.L. Cord from Auburn, Indiana. And just look at her. Look at her line. She's the first car to have front wheel drive, which is amazing. She has hideaway headlights, and notice I refer to her as she. And then, of course, we've got this great exhaust. In fact, when it debuted at the World Auto Expo in Chicago, it was the first car not to have running boards. Running boards were pretty functional. So Mr. Cord was pretty controversial with his automobiles, but who cares? When you look like this, you can be as controversial as you want. Do I look like Bonnie or Clyde? This car is one of my favorites. It's a 1937 fully bulletproof Studebaker President. The Canton Police Department bought this car that year because, well, Canton was called Little Chicago in the 20s and 30s, and for very good reason, because of the Lincoln Highway, which we'll get into that later. But this car is amazing. They paid $800 for her. Then they put 3,000 pounds of 10-gauged armored plating that cost $1 per pound. That's a huge amount of money. The windows, you can see, they're 1 1/8 inches thick, and these, which we're coming back to, are gun ports to shoot out of. How cool is that? They sent a press release out saying that this was the only fully bulletproof car in the United States. But a little side note for you folks, Al Capone spent a lot of time coming in and out of Canton, Ohio. So he happened to be in town that week that article came out. He disputed that. He said, you know what? My car's got more bulletproofing. In fact, I have more gun ports. We have gun ports in the doors. Mr. Capone had gun ports in the body. What they neglected to say was that this was the only fully bulletproof Studebaker in the United States. They changed the article, made Mr. Capone happy, and he spent 10 more years coming in and out of Canton, Ohio, until he died in 1947 at the age of 48 of something that he probably purchased in Canton. And if you don't know what it is, Google it. How do I look driving this one? This car is a 1947 12-passenger Cadillac limousine. It was actually owned by the Broadmoor Hotel in Colorado Springs. Now, they bought this car from the Gray Line Bus Company. They purchased 49 of these, and they used this for tourists to go up and down Pikes Peak. Now, I've been to Colorado Springs. I've been to the Pikes Peak. In my right mind, I trust these brakes going up and down. I don't know about you, but not me. Can you see how excited I am? This is one of my favorite cars here at the museum. You know, just because a car's old doesn't mean that it's valuable. New cars have gained in price, cost, and popularity, and I'm going to tell you why we have this 1970 Plymouth Superbird in here. In 1969, Plymouth wanted to get Richard Petty, we all know who he is, right? If you're old enough, the king of NASCAR, back on the circuit driving Plymouth. So they told Mr. Petty that they would aerodynamically design a car for him, which simply meant they'd put a spoiler on it. 25 inches from the trunk, which is in the rear. Do you know why they put it 25 inches from the trunk? This is funny. So the trunk would open. I think that's hysterical. But anyway, they said that they would design it the opposite configuration of an airplane wing, which simply meant instead of taking off, this baby stays to the ground. They built 1,920 of this car, and they came equipped with two engines, a 446 barrel, or my personal favorite, a Hemi, or hemispherical engine. And the reason being, it's fast. In fact, I learned to fly before I learned to drive because I didn't think I could ever drive fast enough. Great car, wonderful history, and I'm really glad that it's here, and I can't wait to drive it again. Hands down, this is my favorite part of the museum. It's our funeral parlor, and it's got some great nostalgia and memorabilia. One of my favorites, drive carefully, see the man in the casket. My personal favorite, dead end. How funny is that? Automobiles not allowed in this cemetery. And we've got embalming fluid. How many museums can you go to and see all this great stuff? The beautiful part of this whole area is this. It's a 1937 Packard. It's an 8-cylinder. And this car was actually purchased by a Vermilion, Ohio funeral home in 1937. And he decided to turn this into a professional car. And that terminology comes to several things. Either a flower car, which is exactly what this is. And if you can see in the back, they did a cutaway in order to take flowers to the cemetery. And the other part of that is they had ambulances and hearses. But this is just a magnificent piece of history, and they used it up until the mid-1950s. I can't wait to show you this car. This is my favorite part of the whole package in the funeral home. This is another 1937 12-cylinder Packard. This was customized as well in Bellefontaine, Ohio by the Miller Company, and this was a part of the package from the funeral home in Vermilion, the Fisher Funeral Home. And he was a really smart guy. He used these as a business. So he charged you rent if you wanted to use this, and he charged a lot of money. And that's why there's no funeral home here. He would put the AJ Funeral Home, the Char Funeral Home, but the beautiful part of this is the back. This was elongated. This was all hand-carved mahogany, and it cost $8,000. Can you imagine that in 1937? It's a magnificent piece of artwork. In fact, I like to call it a rolling piece of art. I'm going to open this car. You know, when the kids come in here, I always like to tell them it's like the Addams Family or the Munsters, because they don't know anything about Packards, and nor do they care. But this is what they do like. Are you ready? Let's make sure it works. They about pee their pants. I'd like to talk about a 1916 Simplex crane built in Long Island City, New York. This car is an amazing car. In fact, the average annual income in 1915 was $1,200 a year, and this car in 1916 was about $9,500. So it was a huge amount of money. It has some amazing features that I really love. In fact, if I drove this car, I'd want to tell my chauffeur where to go. Sort of. Anyway, in the back there's a horn that you can talk into, and the most amazing thing about this car to me is that in the very rear of it there's a bullet hole. If cars could talk, I really do wonder what this one would say to you. Bernie, those are just a few of my favorite cars in this collection.
Well, I'll tell you, looking over this collection, I cannot make up my mind.
Well, good.
They're all fantastic. Yeah. They're all my favorites.
Mine too.
So, where can somebody find you? How can they get in touch with you? And what's your schedule for the museum?
Well, you can go to my website, cantonclassiccar.org. We're open 7 days a week, 10 to 5. Yeah, so anytime, you can't miss out on that.
Fantastic. Well, I think you should check it out. Go to the Canton Classic Car Museum in Canton, Ohio, and see Char. She's here to see you. See you then.
Happy motoring.
Later in the show, you'll meet the foremost authority for analyzing car collectors' habits and giving advice to those individuals struggling to lead a normal life. But up next, how one woman accepted a date to a car show that changed her life completely. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to my garage here on Car Idiots Forever. This is my 1918 Winton, also known as Lady Sarah. This car that was named Lady Sarah after my wife was found in Sylmar, California. It was found under an orange tree, abandoned, neglected, saddened by so many. I had to rescue it. So basically, here it is. I spent 14 years so far on this car restoring it. Every nut and bolt. It was a lot of fun. So what do we have here? We have a 128-inch wheelbase. We have approximately a 347 cubic inch engine, a 3 3/4-inch bore and stroke, and that gives you approximately 33 horsepower. The body's made out of aluminum, fenders are steel, and it's all reinforced with wood. The top speed in this car can go 50, 60 miles an hour. I wouldn't go more than 10 miles a gallon on the gasoline, but as you can see, it's a beautiful car, nickel plating where it needs to be done. It still has to do some upholstery work, but it's going to be a fine car. Lady Sarah, thank you for being part of our family. I'm sure most of you have attended many car shows, just like me. Just ask my wife. Let's face it, if someone is in a relationship with a car idiot, then they had better like going to car shows, right? And you never know what you're going to find at a car show. Maybe even true happiness. Check it out. I'm here with Tom Ruple from Cleveland, Ohio, and he has a fantastic automobile collection. Tom, I understand you don't take care of this all by yourself. You have a very special friend that helps you. Tell us a little bit about that.
And say I'm my significant other, Sharon, who helps me when we travel. I mean, it takes a pretty special person to want to travel to Des Moines, Iowa, or Davenport, Iowa in November when it's about 4 degrees and it's snowing and blowing, and it's not exactly the garden spot of the country to go to. And she travels to all the auctions with me. It's fun. It's not super exciting anymore, as far as, you know, you just kind of sit there and wait. But yeah, she goes traveling with me. She goes to all the little auctions we go to around town here. So,
well, she shares your passion.
She shares the passion. She's gotten quite good at identifying and picking out stuff that we, you know, I come in and do a real quick scan, and she's more detail oriented, so she finds the little stuff.
Very good.
So we make a good team that way.
And she has a woman's touch, right?
Yeah.
So she knows exactly what needs to be done.
Yeah, and she knows what
she can give you good advice.
What we collect.
She gives you good advice, right?
There's never any shortage of that.
Now I'm here with Sharon, Tom's significant other. Sharon, how did you get interested in all this, and how did you guys get together?
It was quite a long time ago. We were friends at first. We used to come to a lot of parties here at the shop, and then we decided to go out on a date. And our first date was a car show down in Cleveland, and he ended up buying a 1988 Mustang, so it was kind of exciting for me. And you know, he brought it home, and over the years, I've been to a lot of parties here, and I've heard a lot of history about the cars from Tom and also from his father. I was fortunate enough to know his dad for a while, and he was a character, and he had a lot of good stories, and they did a lot of car shows back in the day. And I'm a history person, and I love history, and I just like to know about all the different cars and things like that. So it kind of just grew on. It evolved. It evolved over the years. Tom would go to a lot of car shows, and then we started going to these auctions, and it was fun. It's fun to travel. It's fun to meet new people. It's, you know, and there's always a car that you know, you think you might want to get. Whether you get it or not is another story, you know. Sometimes you do and sometimes you don't, so.
Well, your input brings a lot to this collection. I mean, you have the woman's touch.
Yeah, I like the decorating part, yeah. So we did evolve into not just getting cars, but also the gas pumps and the signs and things like that. So it just started to become a passion that we both shared. And over the years it's grown, and you know, I'm a detailed person, he is also. But there's things that I usually see that he doesn't, and sometimes he sees that I don't. And you know, like I said, a few years back, I don't know that I would have been able to pick out a Model T carburetor, but I do know how to do one. You know, I've just learned a lot over the years. He's very good at explaining things. He's very, like I said, he is very detail oriented, and he can tell you about every single car and what that grille should look like for that particular year. And he's actually had some arguments with people that have, it's their car and he's arguing that it's not that, that wasn't the right grille or the right whatever, headlights or whatever. So it's pretty interesting. It's a lot of fun. We meet tons of different people, which is a good thing because it's a car connection then, and you never know. You never know where you're going to meet somebody that's going to have, you know, something that you might want or just share with. We've had a lot of people come through here over the years, and car collectors, private functions, charity things. Which is nice. It's nice to be able to share it with people. And the general, you know, reaction is, oh my God. So it's kind of nice, all your efforts have paid off when someone comes in and really enjoys it. And especially the guys, because they come through and they say, oh my God, I had one of those. That was my first car, or my dad had one of those. And it's really a nice feeling.
Do you have anything special in this collection that you would call maybe, I mean, your true love?
I like the 1936 Lincoln limo. I don't know why I do. Oh, we've used it for some family and friends' weddings, and I've got a lot of good memories, and I just think it's a cool car. It's something different. It's the only limo in the collection, and I don't know. It just draws me to it. I like the car.
What advice could you give other women in the hobby, or those that may have a husband, maybe they're not totally into it? Can you give them any advice to partake in this type of?
Yes, be open. Be open to everything. Listen to what they're saying, because a lot of times, you know, and it was true with me. I wasn't a big, huge car buff. I've always liked cars, but I wasn't as big of a car buff as I am now. But it just kind of, you know, be open to it. There's a lot of cool things that women could also, you know, enjoy. I don't know if they, you know, even if their husband just has a man cave or a small garage, to go out and to, you know, help them find things to decorate. You know, women like to decorate. Right. It's decorating.
So buying a car that flatters helps in relationship matters.
Right. You got it.
All right.
You got it.
Well, very good. So you're a car girl?
I'm a car girl.
You're considered a car idiot forever?
I would say a car idiot forever. Definitely.
All right. That's what we want to hear.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much, Sharon.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you for sharing your passion.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Coming up after the commercial, it's the long-awaited, long-heralded genius and guru of the Car Idiots Forever Nation, the legendary Dr. Oedipus Redline himself.
We have a very special guest joining us now on Car Idiots Forever. He has a special gift for explaining the mindset of car idiots. Wait a minute, where is he? I told him to go a half hour ago. Yeah, I'm coming. Like I was saying, he's an authority on why these people collect cars, and he's given much advice to those in need of controlling their obsessive collecting habits. We're honored to have him here today, Dr. Oedipus Redline. Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here, Bernie.
Dr. Redline, when did you first realize you had a special gift to analyze car collector habits and give them advice to help them lead a normal life?
When I was very young, let's say around 2 or 3 years of age, I noticed a strange behavior peepees possessed if they collect things. Cars were the biggest things I related to since I was born in the backseat of one.
How did you develop your innate ability and become the first ever psych auto analyst?
I always like to plow through uncharted territories. There have been many times in my life that peepees told me I was crazy. But now they determined that I was simply out of reach from that of a normal mentality.
Doctor, you say a normal mentality. Does that mean people might have taken you for a nutcase?
When I was going for my advanced degree at the Canton House University in the state of confusion, I had the opportunity to break through the normal approaches to the science. I wrote my thesis on automotive collecting and the idiocy that pertains to it. I also coined the phrase, obsessive collecting is simply selecting. I got the first degree ever presented in automobile idiocy, therefore being free to choose my title as a certified psych auto analyst.
Dr. Redline, what advice can you give our car collector audience?
First, read my booklet, Car Idiocy, the Ultimate Guide. This is a compilation of 50 terms that I put together that describes the various conditions of car collector idiocy. One must understand or come to terms with that behavior and admit it before any type of healing process can take place. Now, I got to go.
You have to go? You mean again?
No, not that. My parents and I have a pressing appointment. Bye, everyone. Long live car idiots forever. Bye-bye.
As a public service, we now present Dr. Oedipus Redline's Car Idiocy Term of the Day.
My book, Car Idiocy, the Ultimate Guide, is a glossary of 50 psych-auto-analytical terms to help you understand your obsessive car collecting habits. Today's term is aromic intaxia. Aromic intaxia occurs when the collector experiences euphoric pleasure and physical gratification in the presence of fresh or virgin emotion. It is not uncommon for some individuals to faint from the elation of getting a good whiff of the freshly stitched leather seats. And that is your car idiocy term of the day. See you next time. Bye-bye.
That Dr. Redline seems strangely familiar. Oh well, I hope you liked the show and invite you to share more of your Car Idiots Forever mania on our website, caridiotsforever.com. Remember, obsessive collecting is simply selecting. See you next time.